All right. Good morning, traders. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Greg Lewis. I'm the marketing manager for MetaStock, coming at you at our satellite studio deep in the heart of South Texas. Today's guest speaker is Serge Berger. He'll be coming on in about 6 minutes. And until then, let's watch a video.
Hi, my name is Kelly Clement, and I am the president here at MetaStock. You know, one of the biggest questions I get asked is, what is MetaStock? And how can it help me in my trading? Well, if you give me about 3 minutes of your time, I can show you. MetaStock is an award-winning software and data package that has been helping traders for over 40 years. Simply put, MetaStock is a tool for traders like you to analyze the markets. MetaStock works across all asset classes, including stocks, futures, forex, options, crypto, and more. MetaStock is designed to help you take the guesswork out of trading by offering a methodical, systematic approach to some key questions all traders come up against. Questions like, how do I decide which securities to trade when there are literally thousands to choose from? Which strategies should I use, and how do I test that strategy before spending my first trading dollar? When should I enter and exit a trade? How can I effectively manage the securities I'm interested in? What are the best options to trade? And of course, how do I know where prices will go next? At the core of MetaStock are its power tools. The power tools are designed to give professional-grade analysis tools to private traders. You can scan the market with the MetaStock Explorer to filter and sort securities that show buy and sell signals based on your criteria. The MetaStock System Tester lets you test most strategies through a process called backtesting. This allows you to see how your strategy would have performed over time. One of MetaStock's most powerful tools is its charts. MetaStock allows you to navigate through your charts through browser-like tabs, arrange them in ways that you see fit, or group them in layout windows that allow you to quickly access your groups of charts. And then with the MetaStock Forecaster, you can even take advantage of patented technology to view probable future prices. If you're an options trader, well, you're going to love OptionScope. OptionScope puts all the critical information at your fingertips, displaying sortable, customizable, color-coded options data, even including the Greeks. You can then take this data and analyze your options with the built-in strategies with risk-reward graphs. And MetaStock has solutions for traders of all levels and interests. If you're just getting into trading, you'll appreciate the education offered by our many built-in systems. In addition to pointing out buy and sell signals, MetaStock explains how they work in an easy-to-follow commentary window. MetaStock has systems based off of popular strategies, things like MACD, Bollinger Bands, turtle trading, candle patterns, and many more. MetaStock even has the very popular and exclusive Rahul Mohindar oscillator system, or simply known as the RMO. As you become a more experienced trader, MetaStock grows with you. Advanced analysts will enjoy the comprehensive list of trading systems and indicators and the ability to create, build, and test their own systems. And if you're a day trader, you can't do better than Zenith, the real-time news, data, and analysis package powered by LSEG, a world leader in market data. Zenith is a comprehensive and flexible system with an extremely powerful search tool, which includes fundamental and economic data. Add on our world-class support, and it's not hard to see why MetaStock has won the Stocks and Commodities Reader's Choice Award for 35 consecutive years. To find out more about MetaStock and how it can help you in your trading, visit metastock.com or contact a product professional via phone, email, or chat.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching that. There appears to be a small issue going on over on the Utah side, so I'm going to check on that really quick and let you listen to some jazzy music for just a few minutes. Hopefully, we'll be up and running in the next 1 minute and 35 seconds. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we are okay on that end, and they are ready to roll. So a couple quick things before we start. Again, our speaker today is Serge Berger, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Do, if you are so inclined, like and subscribe. We really enjoy that, and it helps us let you know when our next live event is. Also, make sure to be nice to your fellow viewers. We encourage you to comment and ask questions, but just be respectful to everyone else. Anyway, I think it's just about time to start. Thank you so much for joining us, and successful trading.
Are in listen-only mode.
I might have missed the end of the countdown. All right, cool. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the event today. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you. My name is Jeff Gibby. I'm going to read a legal disclaimer, and then I'm going to just get out of the way. So it's good to see you. If you're joining us on YouTube today, make sure to like and subscribe. Helps a great deal. We really appreciate it. And we try to release only really good videos. So if you subscribe to the channel, hopefully that's what you'll get. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to that legal disclaimer that I promised. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you on using MetaStock and the accompanying software plugins. It is not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. MetaStock and its employees shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any information provided in connection with the company. MetaStock and its employees do not endorse the purchase of a security, nor are they paid for the endorsement of a security. No information contained in the presentation should be construed as investment advice or the solicitation to buy a security. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. Couple of notes. If you have questions, make sure to say it in the chat. If you're joining us on GoToWebinar, just click on the questions box, type it in, all that kind of good stuff. Probably know how to do it. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. It does help a great deal, and we do appreciate it. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today. Serge is quite a frequent speaker for us, especially lately. We really like what he has to say and the kind of methodologies that he uses. So we keep bringing him back. Today's going to talk about some new indicators that are kind of popping right now, and kind of how those work in the market and that kind of stuff. So, Serge, how are you?
It's good to see you again, Jeffrey. How you doing?
Yeah, good. You look great. I'm lamenting the fact that summer is coming to a close.
It is. In fact, I think you and I spoke about this the other day. It's actually very hot in this office right now. But
oh, is it? Okay.
I do think it's going to get better. I think, like I told you yesterday or the day before, I'm thinking 3 more weeks. It's probably less than that, honestly. Probably 2 weeks, and then it's gonna start getting better.
Yeah. I had to put air on my tires today. Just
air.
The temperature.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, in any case, did it ask you if you wanted to present?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Here I see the screen coming.
I should be presenting right now.
Yep, I see that. Okay, I'll get out of the way. It's your turn. The
Cool.
floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again here in just a bit.
Yeah, I'll be here if you need me.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Well, thank you everybody for joining here today on this Thursday. Again, it's summer. It's quite something. The algos are in full force here a day before August options expiration, and that's going to happen tomorrow. So it's typically, in my view, a good time to kind of step out of it or step aside when the algos want to have at it. I think we could probably see another swing to the downside here in equities over the next soon to start. We'll see what what it looks like here after August expiration, which again is tomorrow. But more importantly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk a little bit about market momentum, because I think one of the things that I have found over the course of my career is that there's a time to play momentum, and that's typically where I like to use leverage. So I might be long an option contract or some sort of a spread or something like that, or even a futures contract if it has a futures contract related to it. And then there is a lot of times not to use leverage. And when I sort of poll our audience or just talk to our clients, particularly new ones, I see a lot of lack of understanding that it's not always a good reason to use leverage, right? In fact, it's less often than a lot of people think. And so we have to find those points in time where leverage makes a lot of sense to use, and that's again typically where there's actually momentum in the stock. And so I'm going to define what that is here on the following slides. This is yours truly. I just recently changed offices here temporarily, so that's a different background there. I'll be back in that office in a number of months. We got kicked out because they're renovating, but we will be back there. Meanwhile, I'm sweating the last few weeks of the summer in this one. But my background is largely on the institutional side, and then moving on to the portfolio manager side, where I reside today as well. I'm the chief investment officer at Blue Marlin Advisors, which is our investment advisory firm in here. I'm talking through Blue Oak Advisors, which is our educational and publishing company. But I largely found throughout my career that having a good understanding of what strategy you use at what point in the economic cycle, or what point in the market, I guess broadly speaking, makes a huge difference. And this is not to say that we have to have 50 different strategies, but a little bit like having a set of golf clubs when we go on the golf course. At least when I go on the golf course, just having a driver is difficult to get around the golf course, because let's say I'm in a greenside bunker 20 yards to the hole and all I have is a driver. That's kind of hard to get out of that bunker. And it's really similar in the markets, right? It's not, we don't need a bazillion strategies, but we do need the core tools. We do need a driver. We do need a hammer. We do need a driver. We do need a sandwich. We need a putter, right? Just like the toolbox analogy would be that we need a hammer. You probably need a screwdriver and you need a couple other core tools just to be able to do some stuff around the house. So it's very similar. Me too. I just really quickly do want to bring up the risk disclaimer, because again, I do think it's important to reiterate as well. Everything I'm going to talk about here today is absolutely not investment advice. It's purely educational. So please do keep that in mind. So a couple of words on indicators and tools and things like that. As I alluded to a little bit before, I think it's important to not fall into the trap of thinking that all I need is there's no Swiss Army knife for the market, right? Like, let's put it that way. Like, we do need a couple different tactics that we can adapt. And so, typically when I talk about a strategy, I try to make that clear to people that it's not about using a bazillion strategies, but it's about having a few, at least core ones that we need to be able to get through different turns in the markets. And so this gets me to really the meat of what we're going to talk about here today, and that's market momentum, right? So markets are constantly changing, they evolve, and we as market participants, we have to adapt to that, because the advent of automated trading, the rise of the machines, I'm going to call it AI trading, it has largely been the focus of late, and it's largely basically momentum trading is what it is. So I think momentum trading is here to stay, not on just the few stocks that they've been focusing on, but the rise of the machines, the AI, is really important to analyze. In fact, I'm currently doing a series of educational presentations to our audience, where we talk about how there might be fundamental analysis, there might be structural analysis, there might be technical analysis, but there's also an important analysis where we need to be able to understand what algorithms are doing. They're 85 to 90% of trading nowadays, volume. So if we don't know or can't at least comprehend a little bit what they're going to what they are doing or are going to likely do, it's very difficult. And I would argue it's honestly in the near term, it's pretty much become impossible to make money otherwise. So I think right now the case is that there's still a lot of momentum in individual stocks like NVIDIA and so on and so forth. We'll look at some of those charts here in a minute, but that momentum will change to other parts of the market. So the momentum trading as a strategy, I don't think is going anywhere. The algos are there. That's what they do. In fact, I was just privy to some information, I don't know, I'm going to say 3 weeks ago at this point, where there's an increasingly clear case to be made that there's really only a few really big, powerful algorithms. They might be from a very large institutional investment manager. Maybe they might be from a government agency. I don't know. But those are really big ones. And then once they make a move, everyone else seems to be jumping on the back of those moves, other algos from anywhere, right? And so there's pros and cons to that, right? It's good while it works, but we need to understand this concept. So again, momentum's here to stay as a strategy. It's not always going to be in a few stocks. It's going to start moving, I think, into energy stocks before too long. We've recently seen it move into healthcare stocks, biotechnology. We've seen it move to the downside just a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago or so. We think commodities is a big focus of momentum. So these algos are going to continue to focus on momentum, but they're going to move away to different asset classes, different sectors. And that's probably where the retail investor is going to start leaving the game because they only really care about technology stock. That's always been this way, by the way. That's nothing new. That's kind of where the focus has been over the course of the retail investor. So let's talk a little bit about momentum, what it is, and then we'll get right into it. I realize it's already 10 minutes in, and we certainly want to get going here. So just quickly, what is momentum? I mean, it's a fundamental concept in physics. Those of you guys that are engineers or care a bit about sort of the background of this, you know, it's essentially mathematically, here's the formula. It's essentially P equals M times V. So basically, it's momentum is mass times velocity. Now that I've bored everyone, let me just show you what this looks like a little bit more sort of child-friendly. And that's this. You can see there's a car. Its mass as a certain mass, and you know, to figure out its momentum, you multiply it by its velocity. Now, as this relates to the market, what I think is important here to understand is momentum is fleeting, right? Momentum is not a constant thing. So momentum does not constitute speed. The way that we define it, at least in our universe for trading and investing, it is the acceleration. So imagine we're going 45 miles an hour on a regular sort of street, and then we're turning onto the highway, and now we're accelerating from 45 up to, let's say, 70, right? For some of you guys, that might be 90 or 100. I'm sure for Jeffrey, it's closer to 100. But, you know, you're accelerating. So you're going from 45 to 70. That point, that change, that delta, that acceleration, that is the momentum, right? But it doesn't last forever, because once I'm driving 70 miles an hour, I'm once again kind of just going steady. So the momentum has left. You're now going fast, and you may still be accelerating a little bit, but you're no longer going to accelerate, you know, whatever that was, 30% or 50% actually, right? You're not going to go from 45 to 70, you might go from 77 to 75, you know, peak out at 80, go back to 70. So the momentum, the big move is kind of gone. And when we look at the markets, it's really that momentum move is what we want to capture. And that's where the algorithms, we live in the day and age of algos. And again, thus, I think in many ways, in terms of trading, one core strategy that I certainly believe that people should be aware of is momentum trading. And again, momentum trading does not equal technology stock. Momentum trading is a strategy. It's at some point no longer going to be in technology stocks. I can almost guarantee you that. And we're already seeing it move into different parts of the market. So that is that's kind of what we are looking at here. All right. So what is stock market momentum? I mean, that's kind of what we just talked about here. I don't have to really go over this again, but I have a chart that I would like to share with you what that kind of looks like. So stock market momentum is fleeting, as I said before, right? It's not a temporary thing. It's not a constant thing, I should say. It's temporary. And I think that is where lots of retail investors that we come across, again, as I said earlier, have that disconnect. They think they need to buy a call option just because the stock is going higher. The problem is if I buy a call option and the stock doesn't accelerate higher, if it's just going higher a little bit, ultimately, I'm probably not going to make money, right? Same thing on the downside. If I buy a put option, the stock goes down, but super, super slowly, ultimately, I'm probably not going to make money. I'm just going to lose money on it. So that's kind of the thing. And same thing with buying a stock. Most people don't buy a stock from a trading perspective, because they want to see it go up 2% over 3 months, they want to see it go up 20% over 2 weeks, right? Which of course is a bit greedy too, but that's momentum. So momentum comes and goes, and I think that's important. So hopefully this is kind of covering some really basics. I realize we could have gone way more complex on this. I'm sure I'm seeing some engineers had some great comments there. Remember, we have to present this to a pretty broad audience, so I'm trying not to get too granular in the technicalities of the wording. Having said that, let me just show you one chart before we start going into sort of a live demo, if you will, of how momentum works, at least the way we like to use it. So this is a long-term chart of Amazon, and if we look at that green arrow on your screen, the way long one from the bottom right to the upper left, not only does that look like more or less like the broader stock market for the past 15 years, the U.S. stock market, it is Amazon shares in general. So what I want to focus on here, though, is the momentum, right? So momentum comes back into this market. Momentum accelerates from basically a pause. So you can see, let's assume this was a car. It was going 45 miles an hour at a pretty constant speed. Then it decelerated to, let's say, 30 miles an hour, and then it accelerated right back to 45, and so on and so forth. So it's that point in the curve, if you will, is kind of where we want to focus on. And so what I'd like to show you today is sort of our way of looking at it. And that's not to say there's no other ways of doing this, right? It's just what I've done over many years, how I look at momentum. And traditionally, when we look at traditional momentum readings, so traditional momentum readings might be something that comes out of a box, at your broker sort of charting software. A lot of those things can be lagging in terms of the signals they provide, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the algorithms are aware of all those sort of basic parameters people use, and so lagging signals can lead to late entries and exits, even false signals, which can then ultimately lead to some losses or unnecessary losses. There's always going to be losses in trading and investing, right? That's part of the deal. It's like that's like going on ski vacation and expecting picture-perfect weather for 2 weeks in a row. There's always going to be a snow day, a too warm a day, whatever, right? Traditional indicators typically also don't adapt very well to sudden market changes, so they're just not fine-tuned enough for that. And yeah, that's kind of where I see some of the challenges with traditional indicators. But what we're looking at here is something that I tweaked over many years, and it essentially detects fresh momentum in real time, whether I'm using this on a daily chart to swing trade, or if I want to day trade with it on an intraday basis. I typically like to use 5-minute charts. That's just me. And we have very specific, repeatable, exact parameters that provide us what I consider to be very accurate signals. The advantages here, again, timely signals, and it reduces the false positives. And of course, ultimately, again, as I said before, is very quick to adapt. So that's, I think, quite frankly, in a nutshell, is kind of the most important thing. Now, let's take this a little bit of a step further. We typically like to analyze this in a sort of price and volume perspective. So, when we analyze the markets, we have to make sure that when a move happens, it gets qualified with enough momentum. Because momentum, like I said, not every momentum is enough momentum. Momentum has to kind of prove itself, and that takes a minute. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. So let's go look at this, and I'll show you some stuff here in real time. Again, we're all about looking at this in real time, meaning we don't have to wait for the market to prove momentum too long. We just have to wait for it to do a certain amount of confirmation, and that's real time. So momentum is real time. However, the question is, what is real time? Is that a nanosecond? Is that a minute? Is it 5 minutes? That depends on your time frame, right? So I'm going to show you guys right now what that looks like. And for that, I'm just going to go into some charts, and then I think we'll be on our way. And I'm sure Jeffrey will have some great input as well on this when he comes back as well. So what I thought I would do is I would just start off with a big one. I think everyone probably has heard of this stock here. 4 letters, ticker symbol NVDA. It's NVIDIA, the company, and what I'm going to show you here is, this is very simply a daily chart. I'll be more than happy to show you some things from an intraday charting perspective as well. And what we are using here is the MetaStock, the latest version. In case you're wondering what's the charting platform I'm using, I'm showing you here this on MetaStock. And so what I'd like to share with you here is how powerful momentum can be. Now, again, momentum is fleeting. It doesn't last forever. And I would just like to quickly ignore the exit signs here for a minute, because those are all adjustable and adaptable. Just focus on the actual signals. And so you can see that on the 3rd of May, we received a buy signal in shares of NVIDIA. And we see that ultimately that buy signal came somewhere around, I don't know, what was that, roughly around, let's call that $88, $87. And the stock ultimately so far peaked out somewhere around $140 or $141. So there was a lot of opportunity within that. I'm not saying, when we would capture every penny of that, that's unrealistic and would be dishonest as well. But you can see momentum started to accelerate, and it accelerated for quite some time. And then ultimately that momentum stalled. And over the course of a couple of weeks, then we ended up getting fresh momentum. In fact, we ended up getting sell momentum. So we got a sell signal on the 19th of July. That was somewhere around, you know what, I'm going to quickly take this thing here. That was somewhere around $118. The stock then dropped as much as down to $90. And so the momentum accelerated to the downside. We certainly reached our profit targets along the way there. We even have some trailing stops along the way. And so we have, for example, a trailing stop that is more aggressive, which would be this blue line. And then we have a more forgiving, or not forgiving, but a people that are less risk averse, so more happy to take on risk, might be able to use a stop loss all the way at this purple line. But again, we have profit targets along the way. And you can see, as a result of a face ripper rally, which is still taking place right now, thanks to algorithms that are basically falling over themselves, buying stocks here into tomorrow's options expiration, you can see we are now getting pretty close to a potential new buy signal. Now, at first glance, and we get this constantly, all this is just a moving average crossover strategy. And while there's certainly plenty to be said about that, or for that, what I can tell you is that if all I do is use these two moving averages and try to trade off of that, I can guarantee you over time it's going to be a losing strategy. What's important here is what constitutes the buy signal when these lines cross. And it's actually quite complex. It took me probably about a year and a half to really figure out what works best across different equities, at least, and different ETFs and futures as well. So I just want you to understand that that's not what it is. It's based on what happens when that crossover happens. And it's important to understand that the algorithms, the big money movers, the big market movers, that's what they focus on, at least to some extent. Right? I'm not saying it's the only thing they focus on. That would be ridiculous, but at least to some extent. So basically what I'm telling you is we have had 3 signals in NVIDIA, a beautiful buy signal that saw the stock go from 87 to 104 or 140, whatever we said. Then we got a new sell signal. And again, this is the moment. And now we may, although I'm a bit skeptical here. I'm not quite sure we're going to get a new buy signal here, just FYI. I don't want to forecast this because I think it's a bit stretched already. But I think we are getting a very select high probability series of setups. In other words, you might notice that there was a bunch of time here when this stock just chopped back and forth, and it was really pretty useless to do anything with that stock. And that's where there were no signals, right? And I think that's important because, again, particularly if I want to use leverage, if I'm a directional trader, which is what lots of self-directed traders at least think they are, if I don't use momentum in my calculation, I'm probably not going to do very well. So momentum is an extremely important concept. Can I get a quick yes? If that part about momentum, like why it's important, maybe you may not agree with what it is, but if you can kind of agree that it is important, get a quick yes in the chat box, right? And so I think it's important to respect the fact that it is there and be able to track it for all the reasons that I just mentioned. So let's move on, and we'll look at some intraday stuff as well. But I thought since we looked at NVIDIA, let's just look at also a stock called AMD. I'm sure lots of you are familiar with that one. And I'm going to quickly bring it up. I try to because I have a different screen resolution on this one versus that one. I try to make it nice and so that it fits on everyone's screen. You guys can actually see it. So let's just look at AMD, which is another stock that I'm sure lots of you are familiar with. Again, these are currently the momentum stocks, but trust me, that will change over time, at least in my view, as the focus of algorithms goes to different asset classes. It's kind of already happening, but I think it's going to happen much more meaningfully for probably many, many years to come. So you can see AMD gave us a buy signal there on the 3rd of July. And then that stock went from whatever that was, roughly $164 up to all the way to 188. Again, we have targets in here along the way, and trailing stops that we can use as well once we've hit the initial profit targets. So just ignore the exit signs here for a minute. I'm sure Jeffrey can go over that a little bit later on as well, as we can adjust those. But again, importantly, as we reach that profit target, if I use the trailing stop for maybe a third of my remaining position, I would have probably exited here at that blue line. And we got a new sell signal, and that new sell signal came around, let's call it $152 or so. Then this particular stock dropped as low as, I don't know, somewhere in the high 120s. Again, certainly there would have been profit targets along the way. We try to go for, depending on the stock, between, I'm going to say at the very least 3, but more like 5 to 10% for the initial profit targets, and then we can trail the rest of them. And you can see that we're now once again getting close to potentially getting a new buy signal. Again, it's not done, so I absolutely don't want to make any forecast or do any foregone conclusions, but it is notable that momentum is now shifting back to the upside. Okay. Now again, to just quickly say this, the moving averages here are not the determining factor. It's what happens at these moving averages that's so important. We're using a variation of essentially the 21 and the 8 and 21 period moving average. For those people that would like to know, again, I'm guaranteeing you right now, if all you're going to do is take those two moving averages and do the crossover strategy, you're probably going to lose money. I just want to warn you up front. It's what happens and how we measure what qualifies a trade when those two things happen. That is really what makes this so interesting, because again, the algos are not stupid enough just to use two moving averages as a crossover. They need a bit more than that. So let's have a look at something like I was just looking at this earlier today, because I think it's a stock that everyone knows as well, and we'll look at other asset classes as well. But like here, for example, is IBM. So I'm going to quickly bring this one up, and again, I'm just bringing up on I'd like to make the chart nice before I bring it over, because I have a different screen resolution. Otherwise, it throws people off. But here is IBM, and again, we're going to use look at this on the daily chart as well in just a few minutes. Excuse me, on the intraday chart. But again, here's IBM, and I'm just going to go back to basically October of last year. You can see we got a new momentum buy signal there that qualified around $145 or so. And ultimately, the stock ended up running as high as 198. So let's call that $50 or so on the upside. And then again, no signal as it became choppy, right? The stock really didn't do anything. There was no reason to do anything, certainly not in a leveraged format. And then we got a new sell signal. I would imagine that got qualified somewhere around $188. The stock ended up dropping down as low as the ultimate low, like 162. And that was it, right? And so again, it's what I'm trying to teach people here is there's a time to use leverage, be long a call, be long a put, spreads or futures for that matter. And there's a lot of times when it's not worth being long leverage or derivatives, because there's simply no momentum. So then there's other ways of using derivatives for that if we want to, or not do anything, or just not use leverage. But in terms of being long, what's called long volatility in the professional world of money management, the only time that really makes sense for me, again, I can't speak for everyone, that's just for me, is when there's momentum coming into the market. And we have to be able to measure that the good thing, and I'm actually quite thankful about the advent of not only algorithmic trading, but more recently, the new AI-powered trading that's coming in, because we can actually measure, and it becomes visibly more obvious when momentum is coming back into the market, right? So that was the sell signal. And then we got a buy signal in on June 20th. And notice that this stock didn't drop a whole lot during the yen rally of early last week. And the stock actually, we got a new buy signal again, somewhere around the 170s, low 170s. Stock so far is up at 194. I actually think this momentum could continue all the way back up to 200 for IBM. Not a forecast, certainly not a recommendation. I'm just telling you the way I read this, and I can see the momentum. I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps on moving quite a bit. So that's, again, that's the momentum. So basically what I'm trying to tell you, for me, the way I look at it, when I see, let's just take the latest signal there on the, whatever that was, the 18th of June, that's essentially where I would go in and, let's say, buy a call option. That's where I would go in and buy, a directional call spread. If I want to be long volatility, long leverage. If I want to be short volatility, I could use a bull put option spread. Like we're known for doing a lot of credit spreads. However, because it's momentum coming into the market, an options credit spread doesn't really maximize my profits. That's more of a defensive trade. So that's more of an income trade. So here I would want to use leverage. At least that's what I want to do. If this was a futures contract, and we can look at some futures if you guys want to later, I would want to be buying a futures contract. Again, leverage in that sense. Does that kind of resonate with you guys? Let's look at some other tickers to really kind of move through this. I'm sure everyone wants to look at the S&P 500. So let's have a look at the S&P. Or let's maybe start with the NASDAQ 100 first, since we're kind of looking at these tech stocks that everyone likes to follow. And for that, let me just quickly bring up the NASDAQ 100 to QQQ, and then you'll see kind of how we roll with this. Now, not surprisingly, very much like Nvidia and some of the other names we just bounced around. We're now actually getting potentially, and again, I say potentially because it's absolutely not there, close to another momentum buy signal. Again, it's not yet confirmed. In fact, it's not even close to being confirmed, but it's kind of looking like it wants to. I'm going to go buy the signal. I'm not going to try to front run it. I've learned that front running my own signals is not the way to live, unless not at least not unless I want to eat. But again, you can look at the buy signals. We essentially had we've had 4 signals now since last October. This is on a daily chart. Obviously, the shorter time frame I go, the more signals I get. So I received a buy signal last November. That essentially lasted all the way up to April of this year. You can see the QQQs went from about 366 up to around that zone, which is around 442. So again, that's momentum. That's where I'd want to just be long a call option or long a call spread. Then we had a momentum sell signal. As these sell signals go, because the chasing that's happening didn't last very long. It did make some money. You can see the targets there. But I think at the end of the day, this wasn't a big winner, if maybe a flat trade, depending on how quickly I get out. But then we got a new buy signal on the 7th of May, which went completely against everything I thought would be rational. Trust me, just like actually now, I rationally have no reason I would imagine stocks going higher again from here. But again, I need to respect the signal. I've learned that these algorithms have much more money and power than I do. And so, if they want to chase things higher, however irrational I might consider that to be, I'm just going to have to live with it, right? If I want to make money. If I don't want to make money, if I want to fight it, then of course that's a different story. And so you can see here, we got a new buy signal on the 7th of May around 440. And then the QQQs rallied just a touch above 500. And again, there were trailing stops along the way, easy to get out if I would have trailed it. Otherwise, there was profit targets along the way as well. And then of course, we got a new sell signal, and that new sell signal basically printed on July 23rd. So that's a few weeks ago. And the Qs then went from 480 as low as 422, low 420s. Obviously, plenty of meat on the bone there to take profits along the way. Again, we typically go for sort of 5 to 10% on an individual stock. and a touch less on the indices. And now we've had this very sharp ricochet. Today is another. It's really unbelievable how this works. And again, I'm trying not to be too critical, although I think it's actually very unhealthy. But again, there is money to be made, and that's because it's momentum. So the algos don't care. They don't think. They have a bunch of input series. They scan the Twitter feeds or whatever they're programmed to do, of course, and they just buy, right, or sell for that matter. And they buy indiscriminately, and they will at some point start to sell indiscriminately. And for us, it was a great call to be able to get out of longs and go short. We actually did go short the S&P 500 at that point as well, then took profits, and now we're going back up. I'm open-minded. Listen, if we get a new buy signal from a momentum perspective, who am I to argue with the algos? They have all the money and all the power. And if we don't, then get another sell signal, I'll be more than happy to go back short again using a momentum approach. So that's that. We can quickly look at the SPY as well. I believe that was the Qs, right? So let's look at the SPY just for kind of give you some perspective on that. Again, very similar as you would expect because these two things have been able to move together. So let's just look at the past few signals. Buy signal back there in November. Then we got a sell signal. Again, like in the Qs, didn't last very long. Got a new buy signal on May 7th, 6th in this case. And then we got a sell signal, which again, that's already been a pretty big move. So that's kind of how we look at this on some of those stocks. Now, I actually don't know. I don't know, Jeffrey, if you're there, but I'd love to be able to potentially show dollar yen. I don't know if we can bring that up at all.
Yeah. Put in the simple JPY equals.
Yeah, I saw it earlier. I just couldn't quite. Oh, there you go. Oh, okay. So also it's literally, and then that's it. Just dollar, and that's the dollar cross. Okay, perfect.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, excellent. So there you go. So now you can see this is just. I'm just showing this because I know a lot of people were following this last week as the yen rallied, i.e., the dollar went down because the Japanese threatened to hike rates by bringing rates from nothing to basically nothing. But again, you can kind of see the signals here. So we had a sell signal that really didn't work. This one got stopped out very quickly. That was in March. And then we had new momentum coming in. So this is dollar strengthening, right? Again, this is currencies. They've got different volatility perspectives, but I just want to show you how we measure momentum, right? So we got in, or the buy signal came there. Didn't get a new sell signal all the way until July 16th. So, and of course, we all know then what happened, or at least that's what I'm kind of trying to share with you here. Then, of course, the yen rallied very sharply, i.e., the dollar dropped sharply against the yen because of what I just mentioned. So I thought I'd show you a different asset class as well for those people that like to just kind of see if there might be momentum to be traded in different asset classes. Just for what it's worth, there's a lot of overhead resistance now in the yen. So I'm not expecting a new buy signal here anytime soon. But again, from a momentum perspective, that's kind of that. Let's mix it up a little bit and go to something totally different. Like I was thinking maybe we look at like gold miners, which I know a lot of you guys or a lot of traders tend to look at. So I can share with you, like for example, I thought maybe Newmont mining might be worth a look at. So let me show you Newmont mining. And I realize I'm moving away from the microphone, so apologize if the audio goes in and out. But you can see we got a buy signal there. And again, just ignore the exit signals here for a minute, because this is kind of tuned in for very, very small profit targets. We like them a bit larger. But we got a new momentum buy signal on the 20th of June around $42. Stock's now at 49, so that's like what, 15% or something like that so far. And that momentum looks good. So I'm not saying one has to buy the stock here because the real momentum started to come out there, but the gold stuff and the mining stuff is looking real promising here at this point. So that's, again, it's a shift in momentum. It's, as I said before, it's when a stock goes from driving, or a car goes from driving 45 miles an hour to 75 miles an hour, right? That's the acceleration. That's where we want to, that's where I, at least, again, I can only speak for myself. That's where I would want to use leverage like options or futures for those purposes. Here's uranium, and this is an ETF. Again, I'm just trying to show you different asset classes so you guys can see. Let's look at the past few signals so we can kind of make sense of this. This is the URA ETF, which personally I'm really bullish long term. As a full disclosure, this is not a recommendation though. got a buy signal there. The stock accelerated from 29 into the sort of mid 30s. Then we got a sell signal, and that worked nicely. Again, this is URA. It's not crazy volatile. And then we got a buy signal that really didn't work at all. I mean, it literally like 2 days later, or the next day, the stock ended up going back lower. But again, you can see we have a very tight stop, so it's really not a big nasty move because we can get out very quickly when we see the momentum change back in the other direction. And then we got a sell signal. That's been the latest signal. We got that somewhere around, let's call it 28 and change. The stock then dropped as low as 23 and change, and it's not a stock, it's an ETF. And now it's bouncing again. So again, plenty of room for initial targets. We like to use a target 1 and a target 2, sometimes even a target 3 if I want to trail it. But typically, I like to use a target 1, so I basically end up being a free trade. So like, for example, let's look at this latest signal in uranium, right? This one right here. Again, we had one before that didn't work. I'm showing you this just so you can see not every single signal works, because if I only showed you things that worked, neither would you believe it, and it would be a total lie on my part, right? So I'm trying to be honest and transparent here. Hopefully, it's coming across as such. So we got a sell signal here. So now typically, again, it depends on the volatility of the underlying asset. But in this case, probably something like a 5% move would be a good profit target. And then I could always leave part of it on for a trailing stop once I've reached the initial target to have a free trade. But my point is always to try to get to a free trade, meaning where now I'm playing with house money, right? It's kind of my pull. Let's look at another stock here again. And I'm just kind of going through stuff. So I'm trying to switch up different sectors, different asset classes, even just to kind of walk you through this. So here is a company or a stock a lot of people are probably familiar. I hope you're familiar with it. And it's actually just printed a new signal. So that's another reason why I want to show you this one. And this one is Toll Brothers. Ticker symbol T. T is in Theodore. OL. And you can see we got a sell signal there around 120. So the momentum lasted quite a bit, actually, all the way down to 109. So a nice 10% move. So again, 5%, 10% we take profits and maybe use a trailing stop for the rest. And we got a buy signal. Again, momentum came back into the stock at 122, went as high as 145. Big move. Certainly profit target 1, and then would have played with house money. Could have maybe stopped out at the blue line. If I want to be really aggressive, I stop out at the purple line. I typically like the blue line. And then we got a sell signal, and that sell signal is still pretty new. It's fresh. I actually like, just in full disclosure, I would like to see the stock drop below 126 before taking this a bit more serious, just because where the broader market is right now. So for what it's worth, for me, I'd love to see the Toll Brothers go back below 126 to take this entry. And then again, 5% to the downside, and then we can trail it. So this is one that I'm watching right now. And so that's just for those people that might want to look at something that's currently printing, that might be something of interest. Let's go to something totally different, something that I think should still be in recent memory. In fact, I remember it as if it was yesterday. It almost was yesterday. I was on a plane to Spain. This is just a couple of weeks ago. And I'll just quickly share this with you here. And basically the airplane, they couldn't take off. We ended up getting out just in time, and then they closed the airport for a couple of hours because something called CrowdStrike basically caused a huge outage from a technology perspective on Microsoft and other companies around the world. And that's this moment right here. But before we go to this moment, let me just quickly share with you the two signals before. We had one that didn't work. Ooh, there's another one that doesn't work. Serge, I don't know about this. Maybe this isn't worth it. Well, trading is trading, right? So that one didn't work. Stopped out 2 bars later. Then we got a buy signal. That one certainly reaches profit targets. And then the trailing stop there if I want to use that. But the one I want to share with you, because it's most recent, and I think the one that probably everyone remembers, this stock just cratered, as you would imagine it. I mean, literally cratered from the moment of the sell signal. The stock went from 355 to down to 200. 355 to 200. All right, that's a big move. What's really interesting about this, and this is what I want to point out, this outage occurred on the 19th of July. That was a Friday. That's that Friday I was on the airplane. What's interesting though is that the indicator actually gave us the momentum sell signal 2 days before, on the 17th of July. So the actual outage, that the news that broke, didn't happen until July 19th. Our indicator told us this is a momentum sell or short signal on July 17th. Why did it know that? Is this some sort of like conspiracy thing? Does it know? Can it look around corners? No, it can't. It has none of that. But the momentum changed. And so what happens when the momentum changes, it's like a snowballing effect. That's kind of like the way I look at it, whether it's the car acceleration methodology where we said car accelerates from 45 miles an hour up to 70. That's momentum. But you can also think about it as a snowballing in the sense that once one algorithm is selling, other algorithms follow the trend of that algorithm selling, right? So, and I think this honestly, it's to me, like the deeper I've gotten into this, following these algos, the more things are making sense to me again, because I'm classically trained at Wall Street. I went through the analyst program at JP Morgan, became an investment banker, did all that, moved up the ranks, and then moved on to the portfolio manager side. Today at Blue Marlin Advice, as I told you before, it's our investment advisory firm. But here I'm talking to the lens of our education company, StudyTrader.com, and I just think that is a missing piece of analysis that a lot of people are not following. Some people only follow this, which is risky as well, because at some point we're going to get a different market again, and then we need to be able to contextualize things. But I think momentum is really, really important to understand. Now, we've talked a lot about the daily charts. What if we switch a little bit to intraday charts here, just for a few minutes, and then I want to open it up as well for more questions, of course, and I want to give Jeffrey a chance as well to spew some knowledge. We looked a lot at technology stocks today because I know that's what people like to follow. So there you go. But let's look at some stuff. I mean, literally just here right now today, right? So today is Thursday again. It's chart. I call it Chart Chaser Thursday because it tends to be a day when the algos buy indiscriminately ahead of options expiration tomorrow. And so, of course, this morning, as you would imagine, with a big move up, momentum came back into the market. This is a 5-minute chart. I like to focus. My daughter's telling me not to show my calluses from the gym or from the golf course, so I'm going to show it like this. It's a 5-minute chart. And you can see literally as the market opened this morning, it went from basically a bearish momentum right into, or it was kind of neutral, quite frankly. But anyway, it went into a bearish momentum right into a bullish momentum. So basically, we got a buy signal once we had confirmation, once the market opened, right? So this buy signal came late last night, and then the market gapped higher. And so essentially, what happened now is we got a buy signal on the QQQs, and it's still trailing, right? So if you're wondering, does this work? All I would do is I would use the blue line as my trailing stop, because again, these are algorithms, right? These algos, they are trend followers. They want momentum to come in, and they are not going to get out until the trend changes, or the momentum, big oops, the momentum changes. So we got a buy signal at the open today, right? So that was around 469, and we went as up high as much as 474. That seems boring as hell, but yes, we had a big move up. And now let's see. I mean, listen, if we're lucky here in the next few minutes, we might breach this blue line, and then that momentum trade would be over, right? So that's literally happening right now in the QQQs as we speak. The SPY is the same as you would imagine. Technology stocks like the semiconductors, get closer to the mic, are doing very similar moves. I'll show you, like, for example, let's see what's moving. Like ON, this is ON Semiconductors. I can share that one with you guys if you would like. I need to just quickly adjust chart here. Give me just 1 second. There we go. Just so you guys can see this. So this is ON Semiconductors. We could look at Intel. Look at these. They're all the same. Again, you can see the buy signal. This actually happened late last night, or at the close yesterday. And then boom, we went right back into a buy signal, a momentum buy signal. So entry 73 and change, went as high as 76. And you know what's happening? I mean, this is what I was hoping for. It's happening right now. Right now. Look how we're just now, like seconds ago, We're now breaking below that blue line. That's our conservative trailing stop, which I like to use. It's now breaking. So this trade is now finally over. Jeffrey, I'm just gonna quickly share this with people for those people that care, because some people were asking before,
Okay.
how do you get this and where does it work? I'm gonna quickly just share this with everyone. We're actually, and then I know we want to go through scanning for this and all that stuff. But let me just quickly share this with you, and then I have one more trade today I want to show you intraday. But we actually partnered with Jeffrey and his good-looking team at MetaStock, and decided to showcase and open this up to the MetaStock community. Our indicator, it's called a TST trender, is what we like to call it. Begs the question, why do we call it trend if it's really momentum? That's I actually don't know the answer to that, and maybe we should change the name on it at some point, but it's momentum, obviously. But I want to share with you quickly. So essentially, we are launching it here on MetaStock, and we're just knocking 80% off the top. So this is $397 for your access to this indicator. That is essentially all-inclusive access. And you also, with that, you get 12 months of the trade alerts that we also send out. Now, the trade alerts are focused around the S&P 500, the QQQ, the futures thereof, some of the bigger things like gold and semiconductors and things like that. And they're in the daily charts, and I send those out when they become relevant. So that's included as well. Things like we have a triple play strategy for short-term swing and long-term trades. There's 3 strategies that we include as well that we teach you. We have checklists that are included, risk parameters, so you learn the steps. We do monthly member session as well. So every month we get together and we talk about momentum. We look at the market. We show you how it works. So this was actually originally designed for the S&P 500 and the QQQ ETF. So the initial, the profit targets and stop loss, and I think Jeffrey is going to show you that. And we're actually doing a member session, I believe, next week on that as well. It actually comes predefined with profit targets and stop losses, specifically designed for the S&P and the NASDAQ. And then we can adjust it for individual stocks, which again, we'll show you in the next member session as well. So we're going to knock off 80% here in sort of for the launch to MetaStock, to say thank you for being among the first to join us on MetaStock with the TST Trender. It's again $397. Along with that, you get 12 months of trade alerts, credit cards, PayPal, all that works. The link is, Jeffrey, you beat me to the punch. It's metastock.com/trender. And if you guys have any questions, you can also call 800-882-3040. That's the phone number over at MetaStock. The good folks over there can help you with this. And also, I think Jeffrey typed in a chat link as well. If you guys want to chat with the sales team, you can do that as well. So in addition to a member session next week with MetaStock for only you guys, we're also we do monthly sessions every month with our members. So we look at new ideas. We look at the TST Trender on the 5-minute chart, on the daily chart, swing trading and intraday trading. For intraday trading, I use 5-minute charts. I think I said that before. That's just me. By all means, you can use a different time frame. And so that's where we are. It's going to be a lot higher price going forward, just as an FYI. But we did want to come up with a very, very compelling offer. Again, $397 for the indicator, and along with that, you also get 12 months of the trade alerts. The trade alerts are on the daily charts, intraday. You can find it, obviously, if you look at the SPY. In fact, I just showed you what happened today on the SPY. Let me quickly show you Intel, and I know I'm jumping back and forth here, Jeffrey, so apologies for that.
Dude, I'm enjoying it. Keep going.
I just wanted to quickly share with you, I was tracking Intel this morning because it's a stock that I have followed for a long period of time, which kind of tells you that I've kind of grown up with a stock like that. But this is literally just this morning, and I just wanted to share with you how that worked. You can see, again, right out of the gate, stock gaps up, reaches a very conservative, by the way, very conservative price target that I had on there, with a trailing stop being those red dots. And if I was still trailing this, again, as I said before, we could now use that blue line. So once the profit target reaches, we could then use the blue line. I don't like to use the blue line before I reach the first target, or it gets stopped out by the red dots. But once I reach the target number 1 and I have a free trade, then what I do is I want to trail it in. Intel here so far continues to move higher. So that hopefully is giving you a bit of an idea of how we like to look at momentum in the markets. I know Jeffrey does a great job showing you guys how to scan for this using the Power Console, which is a really cool name, by the way, for a scan tool. But I'm gonna bring it back up the page here. I don't know if you want to take over the screen here in a few minutes or whatever else. How's your camera, by the way? Is it working?
Oh, yeah. It seems to
I'm not about. This was not a call to bring you on the camera. I'm just actually concerned about your technology, making sure it works for you. I'm sure.
Yeah, it was glitching a little bit earlier for the audience, just so they know. But like, that's what you get when you get a really good fancy AI camera.
Yes.
Sometimes it does that.
Part of the package.
We have a couple questions, if you don't mind, and then I'd love to show how to scan and kind of some of the ends of MetaStock. First of all, I wanted to say Nick in our YouTube channel says, "Great feedback, Insight Man." I'm subscribing. Do you have your own YouTube channel? And so, if you want to find the YouTube channel for Serge, just search at the Steady Trader, and that'll pull it up. So, and yeah, you do have a YouTube channel. So there you go. Vincent wants to know, can you use this with options, and how would you use it with options trading for these setups?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the YouTube channel for those guys that care. That's my pretty face right there. It's, as you said, it's at the Steady Trader, or just type in my name. There's a lot of scammers out there, so make sure you go to the official one. It should say at the Steady Trader. All the other ones are scams. So anyway, with options, yeah, I mean, I think probably most of what we just talked about for the past 15 minutes is the point is, yes, options, absolutely. So let's talk about it again. The point is momentum, right? So if you are, wait, what am I doing? I'm recording things. No, we don't want to record anything. No. Anyway, what did I just mess things up here for you?
No, you're fine. Actually, Sheets, and I've seen this before. You can actually record a PowerPoint in a PowerPoint, and that's what you're. It looks like you started.
I was too excited about the question about options. Yeah. Okay. So let me just show this again. So I mean, this is just an intraday chart here, right? This is not all that interesting. Let's maybe look at what. I'm trying to think of what we looked at. Didn't we look at IBM before? I want to make.
I don't think we did. No.
Let's look at it. We looked at it on the daily chart before. So let me just do that. Let me go over to IBM. Again, I always have these screen resolution issues. That's on my end, by the way. That's not. Because I have so many damn screens. Excuse my language. So here, yes, I mean, the options, right? So the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So again, the point is, what's momentum? Momentum is, again, when the car accelerates from 45 to 70, or as I said before, for you, Jeffrey, it's probably up to 100 or 120. You really put your foot on the gas pedal. That's where I like to use momentum. So yeah, if let's say I saw this buy signal here, momentum came back into IBM, around 170 bucks. I personally would in terms of options, I typically, for something like this, I personally don't trade options inside of 55 days to expiration because I don't like to gamble. I know that probably just struck some people's, nerves. But if you do options long enough, you know that using short-dated options, it has consequences. Seriously, I know a lot of people are going to find that out before too long. But I typically will buy just a slightly out of the money call or a call spread, right? Using options that expire at the very least 55 days or so. And then I would keep it on as long as this trade is valid, which we just talked about for the past 50 minutes or so. So yes, I mean, absolutely. The point is to use leverage. For me, right? I'm not giving you a recommendation here, but just for me, that's the whole point of this entire indicator. It's when does the move accelerate so I can use some leverage. If I want to. If I don't want to use leverage, I just buy IBM, right? Or whatever the stock or whatever it is I'm doing. But the point is, as traders, we want momentum in our favor. That's the whole idea. Great question. Did
All
you
right,
have
very
other
cool.
questions?
Yeah. Sorry. How do I find my mic button?
Ask ChatGPT.
Okay. Is momentum indicator would you consider this a lagging type of an indicator from Lim?
Yeah, we addressed it. It's a good question. I'll happy to address. I addressed it before. The question is, what's lagging, right? I mean, is it lagging when momentum is literally just coming back into the market? The question is, it's one of time frame. I had a great discussion today with one of my colleagues, Dr. Sinig, and we talked about, these hyper I always lose the term. These super fast computers that are like intraday trading, like the anyway, whatever. It's a bit too hot in here.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to think of it too, but I'm sure we'll think of it as soon as we finish.
All good. So they work in milliseconds. So is it lagging if it's 2 milliseconds too late? Is that your time frame? Because for those algos, it is, right? Or is it on a daily chart okay to get the signal a day after the stock just moves off the lows? Is that appropriate? For me, that's appropriate, right? Do you need confirmation? What I can tell you over the past 25 years of doing this as a professional, the last thing I want to do in markets is jump the gun. I want confirmation. And I know Jeffrey knows this from other things we work together on different types of methodologies. I need confirmation. Because you do this long enough and you try to, front run your own signals or other people's signals, you get run over. And getting run over, just like in the physical world, it's just not much fun. So is it lagging? I certainly don't think so. It depends on your time frame, right? I guess it's a fair question. It's certainly better, a bazillion times better, in my view, than what you get out of the box on your broker platform, right? That's momentum in a very, very thought through manner, in my humble opinion.
All right. Last question. Dean wants to know, does it work on TradingView?
It does. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm not here to display too many other charting platforms because we all know that MetaStock is awesome. But yeah, of course, absolutely. It does. And when we do our member sessions, I will show you how to use this on all the different platforms as well. So yes, absolutely.
I think Barry asked a question that actually answered our question. What timeframes do the algos use?
Yeah, well, they use all, right? So, I mean, I personally don't go below like, 5-minute things, but they're all over the place. So you're going to use algos, you talk about algorithms. They will operate in any time frame that they possibly can imagine. They in fact, a lot of them, what they'll use is they will use, let's say, price levels that are calculated based on different time frames than the actual chart is on, right? So let's say you use a daily chart. They're not going to use just daily data. That's way too bad, right? They need intraday data on all sorts of time frames. Again, I don't know how slow they go. I don't think they use tick charts. That's a bit silly, but but they'll 100%. They use all sorts of different math, and it's quite fascinating. Again, I'm not a mathematician. My colleague Dr. Sinig is a PhD. He focuses on that, and so we look at that all the time, and it's just fascinating. I just think, maybe kind of like where I started off, if I could kind of bring it full circle, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
To me,
I think it's great too. I like that Dr. Sinig puts it.
And I like calling him doctor because he is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I did not know that, but now I do. I should know that probably.
You should know that, Dr. Einstein. And so he now I can't get out of my mind. Thanks, Jeffrey.
You're welcome.
What was I saying?
We run the most ADD channel around.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is I think when you look at the markets through the lens of what are the pillars of analysis, right? The core ones, and there's some esoteric ones out there. People look at galaxy, the signs and things up there. What's it called? Astronomy. That's a little bit out there, but I mean out there in the sense that it's not the classical stuff. But you look at your fundamental analysis. You have your, as I call it, structural analysis, which is looking at to some extent macroeconomic correlations, macroeconomics, and then things like technical analysis. I think an important part of analysis nowadays, and again, I've been going down this rabbit hole now for a few years, is understanding what do algos do. Can we always see exactly what they're all doing? Of course not. But we need to respect the fact that the flows, like today's a perfect day. I have zero reason to trust today's move to the upside. Like, in fact, the past 2 weeks, I may be totally wrong on that, but I can tell you the algos don't care. They just don't care. So there's flows of the algos, and then there's the macroeconomic reality. That's also why stocks typically go down, take the elevator down and the escalator up, right? So I would encourage everyone to learn more about algos. And again, the TST Trender is designed to help us play momentum.
Oh, here's a really cool comment. Erish says, I can confirm I am using this indicator, and it's one of the best tools I've ever had. I love to see stuff like that.
The question is, has he tattooed my name on his forearm yet?
That's not required as part of the purchase, by the way. All right, very cool. I do want to show how the scanning works and kind of some of the things that are in MetaStock. I know we're a little bit long, but I'm only going to take a few minutes to do this. And Serge, feel free to jump out if you need to. Before I do let you go, though, I want to say thanks for jumping in here. Thanks for spending some time with us. I always learn something when you talk, and I think you do a really good job. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you, guys. I much appreciate it. I do have to run largely because it's just too darn hot in here.
You're going to go get in the pool. All right, very cool.
All right, guys. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks so much, Jeffrey.
You bet. No problem.
Are you going to take over the thing?
Yeah, I'm grabbing it right now. He says he hasn't tattooed his name on on himself yet. Not yet, is what he says.
Very disappointing.
There's still hope. Yet is the answer. So.
Yet, yeah.
All right, very cool.
Cool.
All right, so
I'm going to excuse myself here and stop this thing.
All right, very cool. One of the questions that always comes up, it came up a few times today, is how do we find stocks? How do we use the scanner and that kind of stuff? So I'm going to spend just a few minutes showing you how to do that. It's very, very easy, very well designed in MetaStock. It does work with a couple of other platforms. I might be biased. I have MetaStock right here on my shirt. I think we do the best in terms of being able to help you identify the patterns, understand the patterns, see what kind of is everything that's in the pattern. If I want to show you how to do a scan, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Power Console. What we call the scanner is what we call the Explorer here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And what we're going to do, I'm going to start with TST. I'm going to type in TST in the thing. And there's 3 different ones in here. There's a day trader mode, a swing trader mode, and a custom. Now the custom is actually really cool if you want to kind of go in there and actually change the moving average lanes or the risk rewards or the stop losses and stuff like that. There's a total way to do that. It's not very hard. I'm going to show you how to do that and go step by step through it in the training that we go through. But for the purpose of just kind of keeping things not too long today, what I'm going to do is just do the built-in one that does everything that we were showing today, which Serge was showing today. So here we've got the TST Trader swing mode. One of the things that's also cool about MetaStock is we get our data from basically London Stock Exchange Group. And it doesn't really matter where you're from. If you're interested in doing this on offshore stocks, there's a list for that. If you're in Australia and you want to do this on Australian stocks, there you can do it. If you're in Europe, you want to do it on European stocks. With the data that we get, there's literally 300 different exchanges that are available. Well, okay, I say literally. There's more than 200. Let's say it that way. There's a ton of different exchange data. We get a lot of customers from India, and London, and Asia, and you name it. Just because one of the advantages we have is the data that we get is really, really broad and very, very good. One of the best data services and data providers on the planet. So I'm going to go ahead just to show you how this is working. We're going to do the Dow Industrial, we'll do the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, and we're going to look for anything that's a setup long or short in the swing mode. So let's go ahead and just start it. It's not going to take us very long to run. If you've seen me kind of do this before, I do this every time. There's a reason for that. I run scans twice a day, minimum, every day. And I just love the ability for MetaStock to go through. Right now, we're chunking through 519 stocks. We're eliminating 93% of them. I don't even have to look at those. And we're just going to identify those that have an opportunity. And then from there, we can kind of take a look at them, see which ones we like and that kind of stuff. But it does a really good job. One of the things that I learned this from another friend of mine, Bryce Haley. Let's ignore the stocks that don't have an opportunity. Let's focus on the ones that we do. And I think that's one of the things MetaStock does a really, really good job. It's done, in fact. If I kind of go in here, we'll go ahead and just make this full screen. I'll just kind of show you what we're looking at. We basically took 520 stocks. It's a very update for the markets, let's say. Out of those 520 stocks, we're down to 33 that we want to look at. Now, I'm fighting a sneeze. Well, if I sneeze, I apologize in advance. Now, right here, though, we've got a column that says longs, and you can see everything that has a 1 in that long column means it's true for a long, and here we have a short. So we can kind of take a look at this. Most of the opportunities that we have that we'd be looking at are actually longs. Verizon is issuing a short signal or a short trade today. So let me go ahead. We'll just open up. Normally I could save this whole list. I could open them all up. I could kind of take a look and see what I wanted to do with any of them. But I just kind of want to show you something else that I think is really cool as well. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to grab it lows. We'll go ahead and open up the chart. And I think it should have the right template applied. It does. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so that you can kind of see a bit of a better view in terms of kind of what's coming in. So you see right here, we just barely triggered into the long. You can see the cross is happening. Immediately, you're going to get your trailing stop right here. You're going to get your initial profit target right here. And all that stuff is going to be displayed here for you. Yeah. The other thing that I like, we usually put in what we call commentary. You'll notice like this triangle right here. Basically, it's telling us what we're looking at today. So if I take a look at today, the TS3 indicator is designed to give and take advantage and give signals in a near-term turning points in stocks ETFs. This is stuff that kind of shows up every day. I'm going to kind of skip it. But right now, it's currently giving you a long signal. Here's your initial profit target. It's 80.19. Here's your trailing stop loss, 77.07. That will change every single day. And the TST is currently giving an exit signal. So if you were short, you should get out. We're no longer short. We're looking to go long. So there you go. Very, very simple. That's one of the things I really, really like about the TST Trender. Those methods that are very straightforward, easy to understand, easy to identify. If I can understand it, it kind of helps me trust the system quite a bit. Gary, thank you for your question. The scan that I just ran is daily. So I ran it on a daily basis. And I can show you, I'm going to go back in here. If I wanted to run a different time frame, right here, you see where it says daily? I can just change that here. Great question. Easy to answer. I just ran it on a daily. You can run it on any time frame that you want. And if you don't see a time frame that you want, you can just click on custom right here. You can set like a whatever time frame that you want here based on minutes or hours or weeks or whatever. So for the scans that I usually run just based on my trading and my preferences, Gary, it's always daily, but you do what you like. That's a nice thing about MetaStock is it does have that ability to do whatever time frame you want. So thanks for the question. Let's kind of go back into the PowerPoint. I'm just going to kind of recap. Here's a list of the indicators that are included. These are just kind of the stuff that's automatically applied to the chart. I just talked about scanning and how the scanning works. I love scanning. Makes it very, very straightforward, very easy to do. There are also system tests. So if you want to go in, MetaStock has a great system tester. It allows you to test ideas, see how well they work. If you want to be able to go in and optimize, maybe you're a trader that wants to kind of trade a specific instrument or really kind of narrow things down to something that works. The optimized will allow you to test different moving average lanes. It'll allow you to test different stop parameters, and it'll come back with a value that's actually going to kind of give you a good buy or sell, or the optimized indicator values. And once you do that, if you do that and you want to go in and make changes to it, there is the custom thing. You go in and make a couple of changes to the settings, and you can totally customize it to whatever that backtest told you. And when we do the training next week, I'll show you exactly how to run that. So the expert advisors that are going to be in there, there's a custom one in case you do want to customize it to your own preferences. There's the day trading one and the swing one. I love it because it features clear, concise entries and exits. It tells you what your targets and your stop losses are, and you can completely customize it. Gary wants to know, are you looking for a buy signal or do you have a time expectation like 2 to 3 days swing or longer? I'd say with this one, it's usually longer than that if you're scanning on a daily chart, Gary. So good question. Thank you. Let's see. For the commentary, I showed you that, but it just kind of helps you kind of break down what the signal is, what it's going to do for you. So the other thing that I really like with Serge is just how much he's throwing in. I mean, the cost on this thing's like $379 on a discount. Right now, we've got a discount of like 80%. That includes 12 months access to his education, his 2% club, the 12 months of trade alerts. What a ridiculously low price for even that. You've got the risk management plan for all of the trades, the step-by-step tutorials on how to use it, the live coaching class that we're doing next week, the live monthly coaching sessions that we're doing that he does every month. You also get a 3x triple play and an ultimate trader checklist. So all of this, I just love the fact includes so much, because a lot of times you'll get a new system, but really the ability to kind of get in there and interface with Serge and kind of understand how he uses it and how he works with it and that kind of stuff. 12 months access for the amount that he's charging for it, it's a bargain in any case. The webinar that we're doing for training is going to be 2 parts. It's going to be next. That's a Friday. Let me double check, because we can kind of come back a little bit. Yes, okay, that's next Friday. It's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Serge is going to come in. He's going to talk about TST Trender, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do a part on kind of running MetaStock, how to do the system testing, how to kind of go in and customize those variables if you want to, how to run the scans. It's all very, very straightforward. He'll probably take maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I'll probably take an hour. I'll show you some of the things, if you're new to MetaStock, that you should do that'll kind of, or that you should be aware of at least. And this is just a session. It's a customer-only session. If you can't make this event, we'll record it for you. It'll be available for you on our downloads page probably by the following week. So to do this, again, this is normally it's a retail price point of $19.97. As the introductory price, it's $397. You can call us 800-882-3040. You can go to metastock.com/sales-chat, or you can go to metastock.com/trender. And if you want to get super fancy about it, you can scan the QR code right here. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat again. If you have any last minute questions, make sure to get them in. Okay. Again, though, if you have, here's something that I almost forgot. If you don't have MetaStock, I usually say this, and I forgot kind of to do it just because of all of the things that are actually included. But if you don't have MetaStock yet, and you want to try it, I will tell you that MetaStock this year was rated the best software in its price category, and for the 31st consecutive time. So if you want to do $397 and give it a go, try out MetaStock with it. We'll actually throw in a free trial to either MetaStock DC or MetaStock RT. So give us a call, 800-882-3040. Go to the website, metastock.com/trender. Click on take a picture of the QR code if you want. Or if you have more questions that you want to just kind of talk to somebody about, call us. Chat online with us. Our sales team loves to hear from you. So from that perspective, I'm looking here just to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I don't think I missed anything. My apologies if I did. Thank you for coming. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube either now or sometime in the future. Hope you're doing well. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you again at the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, Kelly Clement here from MetaStock. Before you go, I have 2 quick things for you. 1, thanks for joining us today. We love having you here at our webinars and viewing our videos. So what I'd like to invite you to do before you go is like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal, and it helps us bring you more awesome content like today's video. The second thing is we have a great ebook on trading that you can get for free. If you go to metastock.com/YouTubebook, you can get a free copy of The Secrets of Successful Traders. It's a great book with lots of content from traders just like yourself who can teach you some of the secrets that they have learned. Thanks for taking a second with me and learning about those 2 things. Thanks for joining us, and keep on trading.